and gentlemen, and welcome back. Really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to join me. It's Wednesday, so we have quarterback rankings for you. I'm going from 1 all the way to 25 for those of you in 2 quarterback and Superflex leagues. Said it before, I'll say it again. If you are not a part of it, get in on the action. It is the best way to go, in my opinion. A big like on the video would be appreciated, and subscribing to the channel helps me out as well. Getting close to the goal of 500 subscribers. You can help me and be a part of it by clicking that button. And with that out of the way, let's get into quarterbacks. We have a new number 1 this week with Josh Allen on bye, so Lamar Jackson happily slides into his spot. He gets Cleveland. He has cooled off considerably since his torrid start, but the Browns just allowed over 300 yards passing to some dude, may have heard of him, named Bailey Zappi. So I am betting on a big bounce back game from Lamar. Next man on my list is Justin Herbert. He gets Seattle. He has been on a bit of a slump over the last 2 games. He's failed to finish inside of the top 18 in either week, but that should be long gone and forgotten after he lights up the Seahawks this week. Seattle allows top 10 numbers to quarterbacks in both passing yardage and points per game, so he is going to get it done. To the 3rd spot, it is Joe Burrow against Atlanta. He's going to make it 2 straight weeks with a top 3 finish after his overall QB1 explosion last week against the Saints. It looks like Jamar Chase is back on track, and T. Higgins is going to be healthier as well, so it's going to be a long day for Atlanta. Next man up is Patrick Mahomes. He did have a pair of picks, one really bad that cost him last week, but owners are not going to argue with a 3rd straight finish in the top 6 for him. He's got an extremely banged up 49ers defense next up on deck, so Mahomes will thrive. Kyler Murray has been scampering all over the field in his last 3. He's racked up 168 yards on the ground in that time, and he is my 5th ranked quarterback. With Nuke coming back this week and the Saints defense apparently all of a sudden in shambles, he is going to get it done through the air as well. At 6, I have Tom Brady. He gets Carolina. It seems like we've had to unleash Angry Tom a little too much so far this year, but once again, he is going to come into the play against the Panthers after a baffling loss to the Steelers last week. Dak Prescott is back, at least I am assuming so, and we find him here at number 7 against Detroit. If he gets the green light, you cannot really ask for a better matchup to walk into. Detroit surrenders 33 points a game to the position that is 2nd most in the NFL. In the number 8 spot is Aaron Rodgers. He gets Washington. He has a chance to put up his first 300-yard passing effort of the season. I think he also, for the first time, gets into QB1 range. In at number 9, and also returning from injury, is Tua Tagovailoa. Now, the Steelers definitely looked like a different defense last week, but I am doubting that they can bottle up that magic and return it against Miami. Tua's return is a little too soon for my liking, if I am being honest, but that does not mean he will not put up solid numbers in this matchup. The Steelers allowed 2 passing scores per game. Rounding out my top 10 is Geno Smith. He had less than 200 yards passing last week. He did not register a touchdown, and he still finished as the quarterback 18 on the week thanks to his newfound damageability on the ground. I want to tread lightly. Everything in me is telling me to do so, but the production so far has not lied. Jimmy Garoppolo is in next at 11. He has finished in the top 10 in 2 straight weeks. Who would have thought that? And he's also thrown a pair of scores in 3 of 5 games so far this year. The Chiefs are allowing the 3rd most points per game to the position, and he is going to have to air it out if he wants to keep up with high-scoring Kansas City, or he's going to dump it underneath and let the playmakers do the work as usual. Either way, it ends up with points for Jimmy. Rounding out my QB1s is Russell Wilson. He was fine Monday night against the Chargers. He certainly wasn't what owners were wanting, but he did not bomb. Now, the matchup here is not ideal, so once again, it is a risk to have him in our lineups, but Wilson has at least increased his floor with some work on the ground as of late. Not sure if it's lucky or not, but in at 13, I have Trevor Lawrence, who gets, once again, a chance to prove to us that he can consistently keep the ball away from the opposition. In the 3 games so far this year where he has not thrown a pick, he has finishes of QB 12, QB 4, and QB 4 again. So just hold on to the ball, Trevor, and things will be all right. At 14, I have Matt Ryan. He gets Tennessee. He time traveled last week to tear apart the Jags, and he can do that again against the Titans. Tennessee is bottom 5 in passing touchdowns, yards per completion, and points allowed to quarterbacks. At 15 is Derek Carr against Houston, and prior to the bye, Carr was a QB1 in 3 out of his final 4 games. He slides outside of that range here because the Texans are so very bad against the run that they might just do that the entire game. Daniel Jones is up next at 16, and if Matt Ryan is able to sniff 400 yards against this defense, I have to believe that Daniel Jones can at least go for 200 for just the second time this year. He hasn't thrown a pick in 3 games, so you love to see that he's taking care of the ball, and I am buying the floor here and not the ceiling. Jacoby Brissett is in next. He has thrown a pick in 3 straight games and 4 total in that span, but he has found a way to remain a top 20 option throughout it. Baltimore should make his life easier. They allow nearly 2 passing touchdowns per game and 22 points per to signal callers. Marcus Mariota finds himself here at 18. He went to work on San Francisco last week, racked up 3 scores, had 50 yards on the ground as well, but he could be in for a rude awakening because the Cincy defense is no joke. They surrender just over 12 points a game to the position. I am not chasing the points here. I just do not love my other options below him. Continuing on our journey, I have Justin Fields up next. I am lower on him than consensus for a couple reasons. I think that the Patriots are going to find a way to make his life miserable, and he's also finished as QB 23 or lower in 4 out of 6 games so far this season. Rounding out my top 20 is Jameis Winston if he is back. He has a shot at putting up some decent numbers in what could be a shootout with Arizona. The Saints defense is not helping anyone out on that offense right now, so Jameis's arm might have to do some heavy lifting. Up next is Davis Mills. He gets the Raiders, and this ranking is all about the matchup. Vegas allows 2 passing touchdowns a game, which is 3rd worst in the league, and nobody allows more points per game to quarterbacks. Mills is a sleeper candidate if you are brave enough. Jared Goff returns from his bye. He's back against Dallas. The Cowboys are going to have a point to prove after getting creamed by the Eagles on Sunday night. They have dominated quarterbacks all year up until they ran into Jalen Hurts. I think the Godfather's weapons, though, do make him a viable option. Ryan Tannehill is next. He's at 23. He was able to post top 20 numbers in week 4 when they played these Colts, and he should be even more ready after an extra week of preparation himself. Indy also just got absolutely lit up by Trevor Lawrence, so they could be vulnerable. 24 sees Zach Wilson. He's my last QB2 that I like. He could struggle big time in this brutal matchup, and the Jets run their offense through the ground game anyway, so there might not be a lot of work for him. Denver has kept opposing quarterbacks to under 11 points per game on the season, so it is risky to have him in. The last quarterback that I am going to look at is Taylor Heinicke. The return of Bud Lighty is here, ladies and gentlemen. Too bad that it had to come against Green Bay. They're top 6 in passing touchdowns allowed, yards per completion, and points surrendered to the position. And with that done, it is a great time to remind you that Relentless Press has a bunch of great content coming out Monday to Saturday. I drop at 12 p.m. Pacific, sometimes earlier if I'm doing multiple videos. If you do not subscribe to the channel, you might miss something, so please hit that button if you are enjoying the content. Now let's get into kickers. We start with Justin Tucker once again against Cleveland, And at 2, I have Evan McPherson against Atlanta. I don't think that the Falcons have a hope or a prayer of slowing down Cincinnati. And McPherson's also made a 50-plus yarder in 4 of 6 games this season. Ryan Succop, fresh off of a monster game in week 6, gets Carolina this week, like him a lot. And Daniel Carlson also should have plenty of opportunities against Houston. At 5, I have Brett Maher against Detroit, and at 6, it is Mason Crosby against Washington. I think even the lowly Packers offense can move the ball against the Commanders. Crosby has 9 or more points in 2 out of his last 3, and Green Bay is going to be eager to rebound after losing back-to-back games to New York. At number 7, I have Dustin Hopkins against Seattle. Now, we need to make sure he's active because at the end of that Broncos game, he said he was in some pain and he heard a pop. So if he doesn't go, obviously he's not in your lineups. At number 8, I have Robbie Gould against Kansas City. And at 9, it is Will Lutz against Arizona. Rounding out my top 10 is Harrison Butker against San Francisco. Now, he could climb. This all depends on what San Francisco's defense is actually going to look like by the time we get to kickoff. So keep an eye out for my Saturday shorts. I have updated rankings for every single position to give you guys my thoughts after we've heard a bunch of news during the week. To number 11, it is Younghoe Koo against Cincinnati. The Bengals allow 14 points a game to the position that is most in the league. If the Falcons are able to keep in with Cincinnati, Koo is going to have a ton of chances to put points on the board. Jason Sanders is up next against Pitt, and at 13, I have the other Jason, Myers, against the Chargers. My 14th ranked kicker is Kaimi Fairbairn. Nailed it. And at 15, I have Brandon McManus against the Jets. He is the biggest beneficiary of the Broncos' offensive woes. He has 4 games this year where he's made at least 3 field goals. And with the Jets' defense on fire, it's going to be hard for Denver to cross the goal line. And that is everything I got for you guys in the video today. Hope you enjoyed the content. Hope you learned something, can take it away, and get better for this coming week. We're getting into the meat of the season. Every win now is critical. I want to be able to help you guys get them. So drop your comments and questions down below. I answer every single one that I receive. And that's all I got to sell you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opats, and I will see you next time.